there's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father.
Man, this stuff rocks.
This is Todd Strange from the band I Am, and you listen to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Hour, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I am your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father. And as always, I'm bringing you guys awesome interviews. Today it's an honor and a huge privilege to welcome bassist Todd Strange from the newly formed supergroup I Am. And I Am video, Dreams Always Die with the Sun via Corpse Paint Records premieres June 2nd. And the song takes influences from the mighty Beatles and Black Sabbath. So that's a cool mixture of tunes right there when you want to go to the Beatles and back to Black Sabbath and everything. So, Todd, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing good. So, how did this come together, man? Who got the ball rolling first to say, let's get this going? Was it Kirk, you? Was it Johnny, the well-traveled Johnny Kelly, as I say? or Kenny?
Actually, it was Andrew. It was his idea. Andrew is the owner of Corpse Paint Records. He was a merch guy for years, working with Danzig and worked with a few other bands. And he was Typo's actually merch guy too. And he was really good friends with Kenny and Johnny and friends with Kirk. And then actually when I went back to the band, Crowbar that is, I met him and me and him hit it off really, really well.
That's so awesome. So a merch guy who knew everybody in between brings this group together. How cool is that? That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's a unique story, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you've been jamming with Kirk since the 80s, man, and you're formerly of Crowbar and played alongside Kirk and Down. How cool is it to have that respect of Kirk as a person and musician to be a part of this group, to say, hey, man, come on, we want you to join us?
Oh, I mean, it was actually pretty phenomenal. I mean, at first I wasn't even going to do it. I mean, I've been taking care of this farm that we bought, basically, working on tractors and stuff. So, I mean, I hadn't jammed with a band in 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking, when we got in. But, I mean, it's like riding a bike. I mean, everything came back. Yeah, I mean, it was just a unique situation, I think, for everybody. I mean, everybody was nervous, and it just kind of fell into place, So,
have you seen the band come in and just gel? Has it finally sunk in? And when did you know that this is going to work out? It's all going to be smooth from here on out.
Well, I mean, we've all known each other, I mean, we've played with Typo back in the back in the 90s when I was with Crowbar and all that stuff. Yeah. And I mean, we already had somewhat of a, friendship, and but you just don't know until you get into the room and all that. And I mean, it worked out. I mean, Kenny and Johnny both, they were like, man, we've never done this like this before. Like, well, here it is, And yeah, I mean, after the nerves kind of settled down a little bit, I mean, by the second day, I mean, pretty much we flew in and went to a rehearsal studio, and then actually Johnny flew in. He was the last one to get there, so we were kind of messing with amps and all that stuff, and he set up his drums and all that stuff. And yeah, we just had some ideas, mostly Kenny and Kirk, they kind of were throwing around some ideas back and forth. We never had nothing but basically parts. And yeah, everything was done on a whim, and it turned out. I mean, I think everybody left the the situation after 3 days, going, man, we want to do some more of this. You know?
Yeah. It's hard for me to actually hear the well-traveled Johnny Kelly. And if you know Johnny Kelly, love him to death. He's a great, great person.
Mhm.
He's played with Danzig, Typo, of course, and now Quiet Right, plus Kill Devil Hill, a little bit of Black Label Society, I think, for a little bit. And then, man,
he does the Silvertomb, too, with Kenny.
Yeah, and does he also do Seventh Void? Is he in Seventh or no?
Yeah. But that was like right. They put that album out, and I mean it's a phenomenal record.
Yeah.
And but I mean, they were kind of like they put that out, and I guess they didn't get the response. But I think that was kind of I don't know, but it's phenomenal, really is. And the Silvertomb stuff that they were doing, and Kenny's doing, is really, really, really good. I really like it. So, and I mean, whenever, I mean, it was kind of like 3 weeks or 4 weeks before we even started jamming. Well, I kind of downloaded, the Silvertomb stuff just to hear his style, I guess, to see. And I was listening to that, all that stuff, and I've seen Johnny numerous times with different bands.
But that's a cool thing though, that he's that well adaptive and everybody wants him. That's a cool thing.
Yeah, well, he's very professional, and I think that's in this day and age. I mean, people see musicians; they all want to be musicians and rock stars, but nobody wants to put the effort into it. And they don't realize what you give up to be a musician.
That is true. That is very true. So what led this track, Dreams Always Die with the Sun, to be the first one released? Was it just the first one you guys had done, or was there another one that could have possibly been the first one?
No, I mean, that's the only, that's what I was kind of alluding to till I got off track. But no, we flew in. I mean, we had a few parts. We worked them out, and then the next day we were in the studio. So, and then, and we got Johnny's drums down. We came up with a formula and all that, how we were going to do the song. And Johnny didn't even hear the song until after everything was done. We sent it to him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, he laid down his drum tracks and all that stuff. And then he left. I think he had Quiet Riot shows to go do or whatever. And yeah, I mean, and that's what I said. I mean, we just left going, wow, this really worked. And yeah, I mean, you get all those people together. And I mean, like the big thing like Crowbar is constantly on tour right now. I mean, matter of fact, Kirk's in Europe right now. And yeah, at the end of June, we're all going to be in New Orleans doing some more writing and recording.
So far, how's it been working with less than Jake's Roger Lima at his Gainesville, Florida studio, Moat House Recording Studios? How's it been working with him just on this one track so far?
He was great. He's got such a good ear, and he's kind of, this is something that we didn't know going into it, because you hear, less than Jake, but he's a metalhead. So, I mean, he was real easy to work with. Real easy to work with.
Yeah.
And phenomenal guitar player as well as bass player, so yeah, I mean, very comfortable the studio situation, and yeah, I mean, we just knocked it out.
So at this time, this is the only track that you guys have got completed, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. I know you got to have some skeletons out there. How many do you guys have right now, possibly? Is there anyone other than this one, any skeletons involved, or no?
I think we're going to go about it the same way we went about, this last song, where, I mean, we have some parts and we're going to get together and see what happens. I mean, I know Kirk and Kenny's been kind of sending some parts back and forth and all that stuff, and we'll just see. I mean, I got a few things to show them, whether they want to use it or not.
So do you think we're going to get a full length, or we're going to get an EP from you guys?
That's still kind of out. I mean, I mean, of course, we'd like to do a an album, but I mean, I don't. We just got to see how much we get on the next recording sessions.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know that you guys are well known throughout music. Everybody should know you guys. If they don't, they're living under a rock for sure for metal fans. But
Yeah.
do you guys feel that this album or EP that you're going to put out needs to come out swinging for you guys, or no?
I mean, it would be nice, but I mean, I think, I mean, when people hear it, I mean, you're gonna have some people that's not gonna like it because it's not typo or it's not Crowbar, And I mean, so many people identify, everybody with particular bands, and it's to me. I mean, yeah, you may be able to pick out what's going on or who's doing it, but I don't I don't know. It's hard to say.
Mm-hmm. But do you like to see that growth coming into a band like that? You're not traditionally sounding like this band you were in previously. There's a different style to this band.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it basically, I mean, it's what we all kind of grew up on. I mean, like you were saying, I mean, Beatles and Sabbath, and I mean, I hear, Jimi Hendrix in it. Everybody says, "Oh, how would you describe it?" I said, "Well, it's kind of an old feel with a new sound."
Yeah, you're right.
But you're not going to please everybody, and I mean, the people that are already thinking that it's going to be either or, it's going to sound like the previous bands and all that. I think there'll be a little. Some of them will be disappointed. Some of them will get it and realize, "Whoa,
yeah,
this is pretty cool." So,
man, I even heard like a little pinch of Soundgarden in there too. I like that little grungy stuff in there. That was good.
Oh, Kenny's voice. I mean, he's got a set of pipes on him, no doubt.
Yeah. It's good.
The
little clips I heard was good, Todd. Very good.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody's really proud of how it turned out,
Is track listing placement important for an album that you guys or anybody that you've been part of released? Has it been important?
No, I think it is. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it creates a mood for the album, I think, with certain songs or whatever.
So this song that you guys getting ready to premiere, is it a collaborative effort, or did Kenny just do all the writing for this song specifically?
No, I mean, like I said, I mean, Kenny had parts, Kirk had parts, and basically, I mean, it was just like, I mean, like the first, I mean, what I'm playing in the beginning, I mean, that was kind of Johnny's idea, how he felt it would go, how he felt the drums would go. So, I mean, it was nobody. Yeah, they came up with the parts, and I mean, you got to realize Kirk can sit down and write an album probably in a day and a half, and I think Kenny's kind of the same way. But I mean, yeah, I mean, that writing comes very easy for those two, and I mean, I don't know how many parts they actually wrote, but I mean, it was a vibe, I guess, and Kirk kind of wrote off of what Kenny had and all that stuff, and I mean, Kirk was like, "I'm not singing, you sing." So, but I mean, yeah, I mean, but he is doing the backing vocals and all that other stuff, and some kind of answering and all that, but yeah, it turned out. I mean, everybody's proud of it who was involved with it,
So a very long time ago, how difficult was it for you to walk away from Crowbar many years ago? Because you stepped away for almost 17 years?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got married and I raised a kid, and then had a good job, and then I don't know. I mean, I just got the urge. My mom used to tell me, "Oh, well, I always knew you'd go back to playing music. I just didn't know when." And I was just like, "Yeah, well, I mean, like I was I was telling somebody, either you're bred to do this, and or you're not." And it's in my soul. It'll always be in my soul. I mean, I'm happy where I'm at right now in life, and this project kind of just fell into my lap. So, And like I said, I wasn't gonna do it. My wife's like, "No, you need to do it. I think it'd be good for you."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Okay," because I originally told Andrew, I was like, "I don't know, can I sleep on it?" And he's like, "Yeah." So,
Yeah, and
Yep.
for you had to tell your mama about this, and you wasn't too sure about how you was going to tell her. You was like, I don't know if I tell my mom this or not, but I'm going to anyway. Let's talk about that a little bit, because she really was for you on this to go back.
Yeah, no, she was, and well, I mean, you got to realize my wife, she played in an all female kind of punk band or whatever from Texas called Tri County Terror.
Mhm.
And she kind of stepped away from that and all of that, and I stepped away from Crowbar, kind of, to do the married life, and but I mean, she misses it. I mean, before the pandemic started, she was kind of like, hey, I think I might want to play again. I said, well, we can always throw something together. But then the pandemic hit. And now we live out in the middle of nowhere. And I do have like a little guitar player guy that we kind of throw around some ideas. But I mean, and then this thing kind of fell into my lap, so I'm kind of concentrating on this right now for the time being. But
Has this been a breath of fresh air for you, though, to get back into music, to let all those demons out, man?
oh yeah, for sure. Like I said, I mean, like right after I quit playing with the band, I mean, kind of like you sit around and after a few weeks, I'm kind of like stir crazy, like, all right, I need to get out of here. I need to do something. But yeah, and then after you're doing it for a long time, living out of a suitcase, it kind of
Yeah.
like, I don't want to do this. But that, hour and 20 minutes at night there's no other feeling like it.
I always say that, when young ones, these young bands listen to this podcast and listen to the legends, as I call them, the guys who paved the way for these young ones to do it. Listen to what they say when I ask the question, how impactful was touring, when you first started, because that's when you're going to cut your teeth or not. You're going to go, I don't want to do this no more. I'm done.
Well, in the early days, we used to rent a Rada truck and we'd set it up with beds and stuff like that, and we put the
Yeah.
equipment in the back, and man, I mean, we do like, it seemed like we had one that was running so bad we put so many miles on it or whatever that it went back to New Orleans, and I think we had that one for like 6 months maybe. And I mean, that was when we were just jumping from tour to tour. I mean, we were doing like Pantera, and then we'd jump and go do our own thing, and then we get on another tour and do that. And yeah, I mean, you got to want to do it, and I mean, you got to realize that there's certain things you're going to miss at home when you are doing it. And if you're not going to give it 110%, there's no sense in doing it, really. Either you're all in or you're not.
Those luxuries of being home, of having, like, especially food at your fingertips, it's not that easy on the road.
Oh no. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, and for new bands, you're not gonna get the luxuries of any. You're probably gonna be crammed in a van. You're gonna go on most times right when the doors get ready to open. You're lucky you got to fight to get a 6-pack of beer and some water. Because the promoters here in the U.S., they don't want to give you shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now Europe's a completely different. I mean, that's a different animal. Europe, they definitely take care of their bands and all that stuff, and you eat pretty good when you're over there.
So for you, though, how impactful was that in your early days being on tour, especially, hitting that tours with Pantera, all these other bands that you've been on tour with, man? How impactful was those?
I mean, that's life changing. I mean, I sit back and Crowbar's still an underground band, and but man, they work their asses off to maintain that. I mean, Crowbar's been around a long time.
Yeah.
And kudos to Kirk to be able to keep it together as long as he has, And but the early days, I mean, playing these big shows, sold out shows with Pantera and all that was amazing. you know. And I mean, everybody on that crew would take care of us. I mean, it was like, you know, we were taken care of, but they took care of every band. And you know, you hear stories about bands that they took out and all that stuff, and they took care of them. So you know, it wasn't none of that bullshit that you hear about some bands and all that, where they, you know, we wasn't getting screwed at night on sound or anything like that, you know. So, and they made sure we ate, keep up our physiques. But yeah, no, it was definitely a plus to have a band like that would take us under our wings, and we were very fortunate for that, you know. What a big shock when all of a sudden you go from playing in front of, you know, 8,000 people to now you're in a club with no PA and 2 lights on and 5 people there.
But you know, a show is a show. So
oh yeah.
That's the sad part about it. Like you said, going from 60,000 to 500 people.
Oh yeah, I mean it is, but I mean, hey, some of the smaller shows sometimes end up being some of the best shows.
Yes, sir.
You know.
Yes, sir. 1,000% agreed with that one.
And yeah, I mean, if there's 5 people there the first time you play it, and there's 25 people, then you did something right the first time you were there. You know.
Yep.
It's just, you know, it's just being out there, you know, really. And I mean, the only way really you're gonna make money is off of your merchandise. So yeah. So I mean,
you're right on the merchandise, but there's so many clubs now that I'm hearing that are taking those merch sales away from these guys now.
Yeah, well, a lot of your venues or whatever. Yeah, there is a few of them, and I don't know. I think that'll get settled out, because what you'll have is people not wanting to go into those venues.
Oh yeah, they'll shut down. They'll be done easily, for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean that was I've seen where Crowbar played where they wanted to take like 29% of the merch, and we were like, no, we ain't selling merch tonight. We just say, hey, anybody wants a shirt, grab somebody from the band, we'll meet you outside.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, and that's hard for a band because that's their gas money, that's their food, that's, you know, that's what they're there to make money for, and to just make money for that, for the love of it, don't do that to them, man. Come on.
Yeah, and then you get to these places and they've done zero promotion for the bands you know, and then they want to take what little bit of money that you're gonna make, and it's just like, well, I mean, you know, and then they want to bitch about, well, you know, you only had 200 people here and it's 500. You know, well, what did you do for promotion? You know, how many people even knew I mean, usually it's like you're running yeah, I was just there. We didn't even know you were playing. You know,
you're right.
But yeah, oh yeah.
And
I'm gonna tell something else too. With the younger people coming up, don't build your band off of what's going on right now. You know, don't do it. You can be influenced by what's going on now, but try to find a new flavor to whatever's going on right now, because what's happening right now, if you get the chance to do anything, it'll be in the wind by the time you do anything. So use your influences, but be yourself.
You know what, Todd? I even said to the ones back in the pandemic when this was going on, and I interview a ton of underground bands and these local bands, and I love them because you see the passion that they have in it.
Right.
But I said, right now during the pandemic, it's an even playing field for everybody.
Yeah.
So if you don't take advantage of this and just put your music out there, who cares if you get negative responses? I mean, you're putting it out there. I mean, everybody's going to get them.
You know what I don't understand? These people, these bands were so successful at doing these live broadcasts and all that stuff, but the minute that the venues open back up, they quit doing it. Why?
That's a good point.
I mean, some of these bands were making good money doing it. So you know what? They could still be making good money. You know? And I think it's kind of foolish. I think it's kind of the way of the future to, you know, think about it.
I think a lot of them, though, like the interaction with people. You know what I mean? And
it's definitely easier when you have the interaction, but still, I mean, you're missing out on an opportunity to bring your music to a whole bunch of people to where when you are on the road, maybe they'll show up.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good point. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just advertisement to me.
Yeah, let's see. The Dropkick Murphys did 2 shows like that live, and I love
Down did a big ass show like that.
Yep. I want to say
Crowbar did some shows like that.
Did Seven Dust do one? Or am I wrong?
They might have. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
There, like you said, there was a lot of them who did it, and
and they were successful.
Yep. Oh, Lamb of God did one.
Yep. And then all the collaborations that you've seen with all these musicians in their rooms and all that doing a song. I mean, Kenny did a few of those, you know.
Yeah. And some of them were good, man. Some of those were absolutely great.
Yep, they were. They were. I just think people are missing out on the opportunity that's there.
What do you hope everyone takes away while listening to this upcoming song or anything else that comes out by I Am? What do you hope they get from it, man?
I don't know. I just hope they like it, you know. I mean, I hope they enjoy it as much as we enjoy doing it, if that makes sense. Because, you know, I mean, we walked in there not knowing what the hell we were going to end up with and walked out of there feeling like, damn, this could be something. And we're all proud of it. I mean, you know, I mean, and anybody that's heard it, I haven't heard anything negative. Not that I would probably, but I mean, I'm just saying everybody's been real positive who's heard it. Mm-hmm. And not too many. It's been hard to keep it from everybody hearing it. So
I know it's got to be itching you guys to be like, look, let's just get this out. Let's go. Let's just get it out and be done with it.
Yeah. But it'll be here before we know it. You know,
that's very true. I want to ask you this though, because it just hit me after we moved on to this question, and it's just to your point about the video thing and going live like that. Could we see I Am get a couple of songs under their belt and do a live stream like that?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to Andrew about doing that for sure. You know, but it's kind of hard to just when you got one song to do something like that.
Well, that's what I mean. When you get a couple more songs under your belt, you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I could definitely see us doing that.
Okay.
You know, I could definitely see us doing that.
All right. So, what's been your most memorable show that you've been a part of that you could not believe that Crowbar or Down, or whoever you've been with, that band was a part of, and it still, you know, strikes you this day like, I cannot believe I was a part of that and did that?
That's a good question. Russia was pretty cool. When Crowbar played Russia, that was a little bit of a culture shock. But those people love American music over there. The Viking, when we played Viking, it was pretty nice. We played in the big tent, and we went on right after Boomtown Rats. So that was kind of weird, but great shows. I mean, yeah, I mean, that'd probably be my two biggest, you know, I was kind of like, whoa, wow, this is awesome. But one time, like in the 90s, though, we did play Poland, and we were woken up to them shaking the bus, hollering Crowbar, so.
Oh, wow.
But no, I definitely know the thing I can't believe. We were going to, I'm trying to think where we were going. Was it? I don't think we were. I don't think it was the Czech Republic. It was someplace else. Anyway, we had to go through a military checkpoint or a checkpoint, and this is in the middle of the night, and we get to the checkpoint and all that. And the soldiers are sitting there because it's soldiers, and I guess he asked the driver who he had. He said Crowbar. He's like, Crowbar. And so he come running on the bus, woke us all up, was took his machine gun, handed it to our tour manager while he was taking pictures.
That's real bright, you know.
Yeah, and that's wild, you know. I mean,
so was that the big culture shock that you got, or was it just like the fans singing along to your music in American language? You know, when you go to a foreign country, they sing it right back to you, and it blows my mind.
Oh yeah,
perfect.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, they said that about ABBA. They couldn't speak any English at all, but they sang everything in English.
Oh,
You
God.
know?
Yeah.
Don't lie. You listen to ABBA.
You know,
it's probably on your phone. Don't lie.
I told you not to tell anybody about that, Todd. We are done. Okay, we are done.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to throw Crowbar. I am out the window for just this question. This is all solely about you, Todd.
Okay.
If you could be a member of an iconic band, I know Crowbar to me is iconic, and Down is too, and play one of their legendary shows, which band would it be and what show would it be? And you could be in any band that you want to be, whoever you want to be.
Oh, well, I mean, I guess, I think it would be Celtic Frost and just any show from the 80s, probably. Not when they got into the Cold Lake era, though. No.
Yeah. Celtic Frost. That's the first time they've been mentioned on here. Usually it's the Queen Live Aid that gets mentioned on here a lot.
Really?
So, yeah.
Well, the very first concert I went to was a Queen show on Halloween night in New Orleans, believe it, 1978, the Jazz Tour.
I would have loved to seen any Queen tour that had Freddie Mercury with them. I mean, that would have been insane. How was it, man?
Oh, it was phenomenal. That was my very first concert. I mean, I had an older brother, so that's why I got to go do things like that, you know. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, no, I tell everybody, I brag on that. That was and another thing I brag on is I seen actually Def Leppard on their very first U.S. tour. They opened the show for the Scorpions, and they were with Ted Nugent.
Oh, wow.
And I tell everybody, yeah, I paid $9 for that ticket.
Oh, and now look what you got to pay. Jesus.
Yeah, and I mean, it was the original band with Pete Willis in it and all that stuff. So,
you know, Ozzy came to Huntington, West Virginia. I'm close to West Virginia, and a lot of my friends who are older than I am, so they got to go see that show. And this is when he had Randy with him.
Okay.
And they said the tickets was like 20 something.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me! Now look what we got to pay. One ticket, $200. That's Ticketmaster, no matter where it's at. $200. It's like, really? Oh
yeah. I mean, I can't believe that. That's ludicrous.
It is.
I mean, it really is. And I did get to see Ozzy with Metallica on the Master of Puppets. They opened up that show. I seen that show. So. Was
Cliff with him at that time?
Yes.
Oh man.
Yes.
How was seeing Cliff? Was he a beast on the bass? Seen him live?
Oh yeah. It's a shame he didn't get the recognition when he was alive that he got when after he passed.
That's it.
I don't think people knew what they had because you got to realize Metallica was just basically an underground band trying to make it. It's not their fault they grew into what they did. It's not. Yeah. It's just it had a product that people wanted. I think that's what everybody strives for. And I mean, it just, they got older and stuff like that. I mean, people say, oh yeah, I don't like this stuff. But like the newest record and all, I mean, I'm not saying it's like Ride the Lightning or Master of Puppets where you just put the record on and I can listen to it completely through and through. Mm-hmm. But I mean, how many songs do they have now?
You're right, man.
Yeah, it's and I mean, your taste kind of changes. All these people that sit there and say, oh, well, it's not Ride the Lightning. Well, of course not Ride the Lightning, because I mean, they've evolved.
Right.
But I mean, hey, look, doing something you love and making a living and being that successful, it's got to be the high of a lifetime.
Man, I'm so glad you said that, because I wish you was on my roundtable discussion about that 72 album season, because I try to evade that. I try to say, look, man, you take a band that's been around for, 30 plus years?
Yeah.
Easily 30 years, maybe 30, 35.
Oh, yeah.
And you see, and you see the transformation, the evolvement, like you said, man, from, No Life Till Leather demo to Kill 'Em All to, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and just for all that, all these albums they put out. And you'll probably agree with me when I say this, because you've been doing this for years. I feel like if you could still be true to your music, but you have to adapt to what's out there right now because everybody's
Well,
trying to get that album out there to get people to pay for it.
well, it was a natural progression for them. It ain't like, I mean, it wasn't like they went from one genre and then all of a sudden they doing like what they're doing today. I mean, you got to look at the progression of album to album to album and all that stuff, And I mean, I'm sure. I mean, like I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was just like, my truck is usually on yacht rock. It's songs I grew up with,
Yeah.
on the radio. And yeah, I mean, it's amazing. And I was like, so all the stuff that you used to hate now you find yourself singing all the lyrics and all that, does that bother you? And they're like, no, not really, But it's good. It was good music, I mean, there's no rock bands anymore. There's really not. Just straight up rock bands.
Yeah.
So
I tell you another person who's evolved and is Ozzy. These last 2 albums that he's put out, man, he has evolved. His voice sounds stronger than ever. I don't care what anybody says. He still has it, in my opinion. It's a shame that, he can't tour. I understand that, but
well, I think he's doing some select tour dates or whatever. Sharon ain't gonna let him sit around forever.
So here's another thing. If Axl Rose and Dave Grohl can sit in a chair, so can Ozzy.
Oh yeah. The only thing I'm that Mr. Tinker Train or whatever, I just can't listen to that. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm just. But I mean, the music's good, but I mean, it's just the lyric. I mean, I laugh. I mean, I don't know. I guess that's just but I mean, Ozzy kind of has a little bit of comical things to him too, and some things. So
sure,
he's got a good sense of humor from what I see.
Yeah, and he has fun on stage. You can tell, man, he has fun running around and just doing his little clap he does, little jump he does all the time, and grabs
when it's not fun, there's no sense in doing it.
Exactly, my friend. I gotta know this too, because we're metalheads. Do you think this tribute show that Pantera is doing right now? I've said this many times. If this gives Phil and Rex closure, then let them be. And the estates of Vinny and Dime, they're fine with it. I mean, you can't get them any blessing than that.
Well, and I had somebody else ask me about this. What did I think about it? And I don't think it was done for greed or money or whatever.
No.
And like I was telling them, I mean, Charlie Benante and Vinnie Paul were close. Zach Wilde and Dimebag were close.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't like it wasn't like that. They didn't think that out on who to get. And from what I've read and all that, Charlie's like, I did my homework on this. I wanted to do the best Vinnie Paul that I could, and I'm sure Zach feels the same way about that, And I mean, like I tell everybody, Pantera was known, they saved metal music, or whatever they were saying. I've heard so many people say that at the time. It was kind of stagnant, and they turning a whole new generation onto this music, that may not have ever got a chance to do it. And I tell everybody who's negative, go to the show and just close your eyes and listen to it play, and then tell me what you think. Because if they did the homework like they said, and so far what I've heard, it sounds phenomenal. It sounds like Pantera.
Yes, it does. And the eerie photo that I saw, Todd, was Zach standing in front of this big curtain, and he's playing guitar, and there's a silhouette of his shadow on that curtain, and it looked like freaking Dime.
Mm-hmm.
It was so eerie. I was like, oh my God, man.
Yep. Oh yeah.
That just
so I mean, I think it's awesome they doing it.
Yeah.
Of course, do I wish it was Dime and Vinny? Of course. I mean, I don't think anybody would it have a little bit of a different feel? Sure, because you couldn't reproduce. I mean, Dimebag Darrell was one of a kind, no doubt about it. So was Vinny.
Mm-hmm. I've said this a million times on this show, especially with Alice in Chains. You know, when they got William Duvall to replace Lane, and he didn't replace Lane, he just came in and took over vocals. We'll leave it at that because you're never going to replace Lane. But like you said, if you close your eyes and you listen to William sing the songs, oh my God, it sounds just like Lane singing them. It's like, that's fucking awesome.
Yep. Oh yeah. And I mean, I think, I think Dom was sitting, he's glad that this happened. I really do. Deep down in my heart, knowing him. And, me and Kirk used to go to Dallas and hang out with them guys when they were still playing clubs. So, I mean, I wasn't around towards the end, I was doing my own thing, but yeah.
And there's another band that evolved was Pantera because they was putting out those glam records, and then Man when Phil Anselmo came in and they put Cowboys from Hell. Lord have mercy.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't know what we were into.
Yep, for sure.
All right, folks, you want to check out I Am and their video Dreams Always Die with the Sun via Corpse Paint Records premieres June 2nd. So do me a favor. Check this out. Give this band a fair shout out, guys and gals out there, and please go check out their other stuff. Kirk Windstein in Crowbar. You had Mr. Todd Strange that was in Crowbar and down. Go check out all that stuff he's part of. Kenny Hickey, who's a Typo Negative, 7th Void, Silvertone, and plus the well-traveled Johnny Kelly, who's been in every band. Might as well just say every band out there these days now. Quite right for right now, but love Johnny Kelly. Love it. He's a good guy, man.
He is. He's genuine guy.
Just give this band a fair shot. So, Todd, how can folks stay in touch with this band? Get this single when it drops, this video when it drops. How can they do that, man?
Well, it's going to drop June 2nd is the release date. And I think like Revolver's doing like a thing on it where they're going to play the video. You'll be able to get it on all your streaming and all that stuff. And if you want to buy like physical copies or stuff like that, corpsepaintrecords.com. And I know Drew said he just solidified the distribution thing. So it'll probably be in some record stores and all that stuff here shortly too.
Also, folks, you want to get out and check out their Facebook page, just go and type in I Am Band, and on Instagram too, I Am Band, EYEAM Band. And that'll get, and I'm going to have all these links in the description of this interview, so that way nobody can say, I don't know where to go get it. It's right there. It's in that description, man. Show more. That's where it's going to be. Before I let you go, would you care to do a promo for my show, Todd?
Sure. This is Todd Strange from the band I Am, and you listen to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great interviews coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour. Get out, check out our Facebook page. It has that podcast link and our YouTube link that I wish you would go subscribe to if you like what I'm doing, and I truly appreciate each and every single one of you who do go subscribe and support me. And please, when I Am drops this new single, Dreams Always Die with the Sun, go check this out. Support this band. It's a new flavor. The clips I've got to hear is good, and trust me that this is going to be good. So, Todd, thank you so much for doing this interview, and I'm glad to see you back on the road, man, doing your thing with these guys, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.